The current war is directed by Alfonso Gomez-Rejon, and it tells the story of the race between powerful electricity titans George Westinghouse and Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison that would decide whose electrical system would be the one to power the modern world. Benedict Cumberbatch is Edison, Michael Shannon plays Westinghouse, and Nicholas Hoult plays Tesla. I remember reading about this film a long time ago when it was actually made in 2017, but it was delayed because it was supposed to be released by the Weinstein Company, and then that whole thing happened, so now 2 years later it has been released, and it's actually pretty good. I don't really know this story. It claims to be inspired by true events, so I don't know how true it is, but in essentials it seems to be an accurate representation of what I imagine would have happened. But of course I've heard of Edison and Tesla, and I saw that it had like really low ratings, like 1.5 stars out of 5 and a 43% approval rating, so I didn't have a lot of expectations. And also, you know what? I hate reviews that use puns. It feels really cheesy and forced. Electricity drama lacks juice. The current war is powered by an outstanding cast, which makes this drama's low wattage all the more shocking. Seriously, that's so fucking lame. Also, it didn't help that the posters for this film are pretty shit, and also that the title is not very exciting. There was some opening text that spelled out some things that really weren't needed. A lot of what it says is revealed naturally in the following scenes, and some of them in the very next shot, so didn't start off on the best foot, and I was starting to get a wee bit worried. The film starts off very fast. The filmmaking is very fast. The editing is quick, and the camera moves through the scenes with a lot of energy, and I wasn't really sure how to take it, to be honest. There are a lot of unusual angles, and the placement of the characters in the frame was just off and counterintuitive. It felt kind of like Yorgos Lanthimos meets Edgar Wright with his messy handheld shots and quick pans to hidden characters that felt almost comedic. I kept waiting for it to just slow down, which it didn't really do. But I quickly realised that I liked it. The performances and the story were good, and once I got used to the presentation, I liked that too. It had a lot of energy, no pun intended, seriously, and it told a lot of story in its pretty short runtime of only 1 hour and 47 minutes. I read afterwards that the director said that he added 5 additional scenes to the film and cut 10 minutes from the runtime. What? That sounds insane to me. Though I thought it was good, I also think that it would have benefited from being a bit longer. That way I could have focused more on each of the characters and we could have felt the passage of time more clearly. The whole thing takes place over about 15 years and it only feels like maybe a couple at most. I also couldn't help think that they could have taken more liberties with the material and made the rivalry between Edison and Westinghouse a bit more personal and maybe a bit more toxic. There were a few parts of the film that reminded me of The Prestige, and I think that if the rivalry in this was more like the relationship that Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale had in that, it would have been better. Cumberbatch and Shannon don't really meet each other in the film except for just like 2 short scenes. But if they were trying to be more true to life and realistic, then it did work in that regard. I like that they didn't present Edison as a good guy. Most of what I've read and heard about Thomas Edison was that he was a pretty bad guy who used to use his money and fame to profit off other people, and the film didn't portray him as just an innocent inventor, but a pretty arrogant and sometimes delusional person. There's a scene where Tom Holland, that's right, Spider-Man's in this too, and Doctor Strange, and General Zod, and Beast. But he confronts Edison and he says to him that he's kind of started to believe his own lies about his inventions and his propaganda. And it reminded me of a similar scene from the film J. Edgar, directed by Clint Eastwood. One of the few good things about that film was the revelation that J. Edgar has been an untrustworthy narrator the whole time. And a lot of what he said happened didn't happen the way he said it. But Edison's reply that basically, yes, other people did do it first, but I presented it better, sounded like the kind of self-justification you'd hear from someone like that. It reminded me of a scene in one of my favourite films, Steve Jobs, where Seth Rogen confronts Michael Fassbender about how he's called a genius, but he doesn't actually do anything. It seemed like they were trying to give us reasons to root for both men, but it doesn't really work because Edison is more underhanded and plays dirty, and Michael Shannon is playing a pretty good guy, which I find very effective because he's usually playing a scary bad guy, and even when he is playing a good guy, he's still pretty scary. Both men have their weaknesses, but when it's that one of them is an arrogant liar and the other one is like too good a person to engage in petty mud throwing, we're obviously going to side with the second guy. There are these short flashbacks to a moment in Westinghouse's past that were really good, and I could tell that it was building to something awesome, and it was, and it landed at just the right moment, and it was very satisfying. Catherine Waterhouse, who I don't usually like, was really good as Westinghouse's wife, and I liked that they were like partners, so anytime he succeeded, it really felt like it was their success. There's a scene near the end that has a conversation between Cumberbatch and Shannon that has like cool metaphors and cutting remarks and some really great dialogue, and it's a great scene, but it's what I was expecting to get throughout the rest of the film, and really didn't. The writing is good, but maybe not as good as it could have been. And speaking of Steve Jobs, I'd love to see what a writer like Aaron Sorkin would have done with material like this. Like I said, I didn't know it was a true story, so I didn't know who was going to win this race and how it would all turn out, so I really got into it. Being based on true events gave it a lot of weight, and the film capitalizes on things that most people do know, like how everyone knows Edison's name, but not Westinghouse's, because Edison made sure to put his name on everything, and there are a few jokes about things that would later become famous, like the name General Electric and Tesla himself. There were some great visuals in this too, some really impressive CGI cities that sometimes when the camera was very still, kind of looked like high quality matte paintings, which I thought was really cool. And there was one shot I really liked where we focus on a guy working on something, and then the camera zooms out to show multiple stories of people working, like a 2D image, like something from a Wes Anderson film. Moments like that and a lot of other different styles made it seem like the director just finally got his chance to make a movie and wanted to do a bit of everything. It's all over the place stylistically and very inconsistent, but I found it to be kind of charming. There was also a scene I liked where Edison and his son use Morse code to talk to each other, and that scene was very effective too. I'm going to give The Current War a B+. It probably should have been better given the story and the characters involved, but I was captivated by it the whole way through. There are also some harsh scenes, nothing explicitly violent, but in the parental guidance label at the start, there was a warning about scenes of execution. I went to see this film at 9 o'clock on a Monday night, thinking that it would be really quiet at the cinema, and I was surprised to see a lot of people queuing to buy tickets whenever I got there. It was surprising given the reviews for The Current War were not good, but then I found out that all these people were buying tickets for the finale of Love Island that was being screened for some fucking reason in the cinema. You know what, it's just like, here's a film about how we came to have the capability of harnessing electricity to use for things like TV and fucking light bulbs, and it stars two of the most popular actors around, but they'd rather watch this unbelievable shit instead. If I'm honest, it made me a little bit sad. Thank you very much for watching my review. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at LookToTheMovies. Comment down below. Let me know if you've seen The Current War, if you liked it or disliked it, if you agree with any of my comments or disagree with them, or if you have any points of your own. I'll be back soon with more reviews, and I will see you then.